The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly, dotted with distant stars and the occasional flicker of passing ships. Among them, the UFS Sentinel, a human warship, drifted silently near the edge of the Andromeda 5 sector. Its crew remained tense, fingers hovering over controls, eyes locked on the radar. For years, humanity had been at war with the Krell, a ruthless alien species with superior numbers and advanced plasma weaponry. Human ships were faster, more agile, but the Krell had one advantage: their targeting systems. While human gunners relied on manual adjustments, the Krell ships could lock onto targets with terrifying precision, striking before evasion was even possible. Then came Project Iron Sight. Inside the Sentinel's command deck, Captain Ray adjusted his headset, his voice calm but firm. "All stations, prepare for live test. Weapons, confirm target lock." The weapons officer, a young but sharp-eyed lieutenant, tapped rapidly on his console. "Target locked, sir. The Krell scout ship won't even see it coming." Aboard the enemy vessel, the Krell crew scanned space lazily. Their sensors hadn't detected the Sentinel yet. To them, human ships were predictable, dodgeable. "Fire," Ray commanded. A single railgun round shot out, guided not just by human skill but by an unbreakable electronic lock. Before the Krell could react, their ship erupted into flames, torn apart in seconds. On the Sentinel, the crew erupted into cheers. For the first time, humanity had the upper hand. Target lock wasn't just an upgrade, it was a revolution. And the Krell had no idea what was coming. The destruction of the Krell scout ship sent ripples through the sector. News of the Sentinel's victory spread quickly among human fleets, igniting hope in a war that had long seemed unwinnable. But Captain Ray knew this was only the beginning. The Krell would not ignore such a defeat. Aboard the Sentinel, engineers worked tirelessly, fine-tuning the target lock system. What had once been a prototype was now a fully operational weapon. No longer did human gunners have to rely on guesswork or delayed calculations. Now, with a single command, their railguns and missiles locked onto enemy ships with unerring precision. Meanwhile, deep in Krell-controlled space, High Commander Vex of the Krell Armada studied the battle reports. His sharp, reptilian eyes narrowed as he watched the footage of his scout ship's destruction. The humans had never struck with such accuracy before. "This changes nothing," Vex hissed to his subordinates. "Their ships are still weak. Their armor still thin. One new weapon does not make them equals." But his second-in-command, a veteran of many battles against humanity, hesitated. "High Commander, if they have truly mastered instant target acquisition, our formations will be vulnerable. Our strength has always been in overwhelming firepower, not evasion." Vex dismissed the concern with a flick of his clawed hand. "Then we crush them before they can use it. Gather the fleet. We strike at the human outpost in the Typhon Belt." Back on the Sentinel, alarms blared as long-range sensors detected a massive Krell armada moving toward the Typhon Belt, a key human supply hub. If the Krell took it, entire frontline sectors would collapse. Captain Ray clenched his jaw as the tactical display lit up with enemy signatures. "They're coming in force. This isn't just another raid, they mean to wipe us out." His first officer, a seasoned veteran with scars from 3 previous wars, frowned. "They must have realized how dangerous target lock is. They won't give us time to deploy it widely." Ray nodded. "Then we make our stand here. Send word to command, request all available ships. And get me a direct line to the Typhon Belt's defense grid." As the Sentinel and its sister ships raced to intercept the Krell, the crew prepared for the largest battle since the war began. This would be the first true test of humanity's new edge, and the Krell's first taste of defeat. The Typhon Belt loomed ahead, a scattered field of asteroids and drifting debris, the only cover in the vast emptiness between human and Krell forces. The Sentinel and its reinforcements took position near the outpost, their engines humming with restrained power. On the bridge, Captain Ray studied the tactical display. Dozens of Krell warships advanced, their formations tight, weapons glowing with charged energy. "All ships, hold fire until my mark," Ray ordered. "Let them commit first." The Krell armada surged forward, confident in their numbers. High Commander Vex's flagship, the Dread Claw, led the charge, its massive plasma cannons primed to obliterate the human defenses in a single volley. "Sir, they're entering optimal range," the weapons officer reported. Ray took a slow breath. "Activate target lock. Prioritize their lead vessels." Aboard the Krell ships, alarms shrieked as their sensors detected an impossible number of human weapons locking onto them simultaneously. Before they could react, the Sentinel and its allies opened fire. Railgun rounds streaked across the void, each one guided by unshakable precision. Missiles twisted through the asteroid field, adjusting course mid-flight to evade counter-fire. The first wave of Krell ships erupted into flames, their hulls torn open before they could even return fire. High Commander Vex snarled as the Dread Claw shuddered under multiple impacts. Evasive maneuvers. Break formation. But it was too late. The human ships, once forced to fight defensively, now pressed the attack. Their target lock systems tracked every Krell vessel, predicting their movements, ensuring every shot counted. Aboard the Sentinel, the crew worked with cold efficiency. "Another volley ready, sir," the weapons officer announced. Ray nodded. "Fire at will." The second barrage tore through the Krell lines. Ships that had once been untouchable now floundered, their commanders realizing too late that the rules of battle had changed. Vex's second-in-command gripped the console as another explosion rocked their ship. "High Commander, we must retreat. Their weapons, they don't miss." Vex's claws dug into his command chair. Retreat was unthinkable. But survival was necessary. "Fall back," he roared. "Regroup at the secondary rally point." As the Krell armada broke and fled, the human ships held their fire, letting them go. The battle was won. But the war was far from over. On the Sentinel's bridge, Ray allowed himself a small, grim smile. "Send." The wreckage of the Krell armada still smoldered at the edge of the Typhon belt as human salvage teams moved in, recovering what they could. The victory had been decisive, but Captain Ray knew better than to celebrate too soon. Wars were not won in a single battle. Back at Central Command, Admiral Cole reviewed the battle data with a mix of satisfaction and unease. "The Krell won't take this lying down," he said, stroking his chin. "They'll adapt. Question is, how?" Meanwhile, deep in Krell territory, High Commander Vex stood before the Grand War Council, his scales still scorched from the battle. The chamber buzzed with tension as holograms of the defeat played out before the assembled warlords. "These are not the humans we once fought," Vex growled. "Their weapons now strike with the precision of a viper. We must evolve, or be destroyed." An elder warlord, his hide lined with ancient battle scars, rose slowly. "Then we shall take their weapon from them. If we cannot match their targeting systems, we will blind them." Aboard the Sentinel, Lieutenant Mara, the ship's chief engineer, pored over the target lock diagnostics. The system had performed flawlessly, but something nagged at her. "Captain," she said, pulling up a scan, "the Krell debris shows unusual energy signatures. Almost like jamming tech." Ray frowned. "You think they were testing something?" Before she could answer, alarms blared across the fleet. A distress signal crackled over the comms. A human patrol near the Cronies Rift was under attack. But the visuals made no sense. The ships were firing wildly, missing their targets completely. "Captain," the comms officer said, voice tight, "they're reporting total targeting system failure. It's like they're shooting blind." Ray's blood ran cold. The Krell hadn't retreated to regroup. They'd retreated to develop. "Set course for the rift," he ordered. "And get me Admiral Cole." Tell him the Krell just changed the game again. The Sentinel tore through the void at maximum burn, its engine screaming under the strain. On the bridge, Captain Ray gripped his armrest as star lines blurred into streaks. The distress calls from Crony's rift grew more frantic with every passing second. ETA 3 minutes, the helmsman reported, sweat beading on his forehead. Sensors are picking up heavy interference, it's like nothing we've seen before. Lieutenant Mara's fingers flew across her engineering console. Confirmed. The Krell are emitting some kind of pulsed distortion field across multiple EM bands. It's not just scrambling targeting systems, it's frying sensor arrays completely. A grainy video feed from the besieged patrol flickered onto the main screen. Human ships spun helplessly, their weapon systems firing at random as Krell vessels picked them apart with methodical precision. God help us, whispered the weapons officer. It's like they took our advantage and turned it against us. In the Krell command ship Shadow Fong, war technologist Kraz watched the slaughter with satisfaction. His cranial implants flickered as he monitored the distortion field's performance. The humans rely too much on their machines, he hissed to the bridge crew. Now their machines betray them. A junior officer hesitated. But surely they will adapt. Kraz silenced him with a glare. By then, half their fleet will be space dust. Proceed to Phase 2, extend the field radius to cover the entire rift. The Sentinel dropped out of warp at the edge of the battlefield just in time to see the last patrol ship explode. All ships, cut primary targeting systems. Ray barked. Switch to optical tracking and manual fire control. Lieutenant Mara pulled up a schematic. Captain, I might have a workaround. If we modify the target lock to cycle frequencies randomly, we might slip shots through between distortion pulses. Ray nodded sharply. Do it. And someone get me a firing solution the old-fashioned way. As the crew scrambled, the Sentinel lurched violently, a Krell plasma burst had found its mark. Damage reports flooded in. They've seen us, the tactical officer shouted. Ray wiped blood from a forehead gash. Then let's show them something new. Mara, now. The Sentinel's guns roared to life, their projectiles weaving through the distortion field like snakes through grass. 2 Krell fighters erupted into flames. A ragged cheer went up on the bridge. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't enough. But it was a start. The Sentinel shuddered as another Krell plasma volley slammed into its shields. Warning lights bathed the bridge in crimson, but Captain Ray's focus never wavered. On the main display, the tactical overlay flickered, useless in the storm of distortion static. Shields at 42%, the damage control officer reported. We can't take many more hits like that. Lieutenant Mara crouched beneath a sparking console, rerouting circuits with frantic precision. Almost, got it, she shouted over the din of battle. Captain, I've jury-rigged a frequency-hopping algorithm. It's crude, but it should let us maintain target lock in bursts. Ray didn't hesitate. Do it. Weapons, time your shots between distortion pulses. The Sentinel's railguns whined as they charged. For 3 agonizing seconds, nothing happened. Then. Boom. 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 3 Krell fighters disintegrated in quick succession. Aboard the Shadow Fong, technologist Kraz's cranial implants flared red with alarm. Impossible, he spat. The humans shouldn't be able to. High Commander Vex backhanded him across the command platform. You assured me this weapon would make them helpless. Kraz scrambled upright, blood dripping from his scaled snout. They're adapting faster than predicted. But we have one final measure, activate the resonance torpedoes. Vex's slit pupils dilated. Those are untested. And our only chance, Kraz hissed. The Sentinel's crew barely had time to celebrate their small victory when sensors detected a new threat. Multiple incoming projectiles, the tactical officer called out. Not plasma, some kind of torpedoes. Energy signatures are fluctuating. Lieutenant Mara's blood ran cold. Captain. They're emitting cascading feedback waves. If those detonate near us. Ray understood instantly. They'll fry every circuit on the ship. Evasive maneuvers, now. The Sentinel banked hard, but 2 torpedoes adjusted course, following with unnatural precision. Point defense can't get a lock, the weapons officer shouted. Mara's hands flew across her console. Overriding safeties, diverting all power to rear shields. The torpedoes detonated in a silent, shimmering wave. The Sentinel's lights died. Console sparked. For one terrifying moment, the great warship drifted powerless through the void. Then, slowly, emergency lighting flickered to life. Report, Ray croaked through the smoke-filled bridge. Mara coughed, checking her barely functional displays. Primary systems offline. Engines dead. But, we're alive. Outside, the remaining Krell ships regrouped for the killing blow. The Sentinel floated helplessly as the Krell warships closed in. Captain Ray gripped his armrest, watching the enemy's weapons glow with charging plasma. They had seconds left. Then, a distortion. Space rippled behind the Krell formation as human reinforcements tore out of warp. Not just ships, an entire battle group, their hulls marked with the crimson sigil of the First Strike Fleet. Admiral Cole's flanking maneuver, Ray breathed. The Krell hesitated, caught between their prey and the new threat. Aboard the UFS Vanguard, Admiral Cole observed the battlefield with cold calculation. All ships, deploy countermeasures. From the human vessels came a swarm of drones, not weapons, but transmitters. They emitted a screaming, chaotic signal across every frequency. On the Shadow Fong, technologist Cross screamed as his implants overloaded. Their noise, it's overloading our systems. High Commander Vex roared orders to retreat, but it was too late. Lieutenant Mara, working furiously in the Sentinel's darkened engineering bay, suddenly cried out. The interference field, it's gone. Across the human fleet, targeting systems flared back to life. Captain, the weapons officer shouted, we have lock. Ray smiled. Then let's finish this. 100 railguns fired as one. The Krell armada died in a storm of perfectly aimed fire.